I managed to get my hands on this. The Still Austin Distillery Reserve series release, and I can't wait to review it. Are these distillery releases worth the stress and the money? Well, let's find out. Welcome back to Old Fashioned Ways Plus Plus. I'm Doc Martinez. Today, I will review the Still Austin Distillery Reserve series straight rye whiskey. I want to try to help answer the questions is, what is the difference between the distillery release and their artist release rye? Is it worth the stress to be lucky enough to be online and try to buy this before it sells out in minutes? And is it worth the money? Well, let me pour some out and let's try to answer those questions. Break this seal. Let's pop this open. Oh yeah, always a nice pop. Let's pour some out. Ooh, love that sound. And let's just set this to the side for now. Still Austin states that this is crafted for those who appreciate a depth of bourbon. This bold 4-year-old rye whiskey offers a perfect balance where rye spice meets the familiar sweetness of the corn and the warm, toasty notes of malted barley. Unlike our previous rye releases, this expression takes on more of a traditional approach, resulting in something remarkably smooth yet undeniably distinctive. Ooh, that sounds good. This label featured an original woodcut relief print of the Texas turkey vulture by Austin's own Brunke Art, an often overlooked but vitally important symbol of Texas' diverse ecosystems. A reminder that even the unexpected can be essential. A rye made for bourbon lovers, a whiskey that's anything but ordinary. Anytime I do a review, I love to share some samples, so stay tuned to find out how you can win some samples. What they mean by doing a more traditional approach is that the artist is 100% Texas rye, but this one has a mash bill of rye, corn, and malted barley. This is one of the major differences between the artist and this distillery release. Okay, now we know the answer to that question. Let's get into this bottle and help answer those other questions. Bottle details. Still Austin Distillery Reserve Series Straight Rye Whiskey. Classification, Straight Rye Whiskey. Distillery, Still Austin. Release date, 2025. Proof is 106 proof, making it 53% ABV. Age, 4 years. Finish, none stated. Mashbill, 57% Brasetto rye, 33% white corn, 10% Wildfire malted barley. MSRP was $100. I do a scoring system of 1 to 10 on aroma, flavors, complexity, mouthfeel, finish, and would I buy again. Okay, it's time to get into the fun part, but just a fun story. As I was taking the pictures I can use for the format and the B-roll and all that fun stuff, I spilled some of this. But I can smell it and it smells really good. So time to get into this one. So let's just look at it. It's actually a nice kind of red goldish color. For something that's 4 years, it has some good darkness to it. I like the darkness, the amber look in here. It looks really good. Let's see how it sticks to the glass now. It was funny, I was grabbing it to do something like this and I just knocked it over. Well, it has some legs. They run kind of quickly, but it's kind of weird the way it's sticking inside the glass. I don't know. It almost looks like it was washed with something different inside because the way it just kind of all comes down and kind of just, if you start seeing it start scattering. So it makes me wonder if there was something, I can't tell if that's the way it's just not sticking or was it washed with something different. Luckily, I don't rate that. All right, let's go in for the aroma. Has overall a very kind of rich spiciness to it. It is very different than the rest of Still Austin for sure. It smells a little spicy, a little bit of like you normally get with that, like the butterscotch and a little bit of peanut. But the spice is what hits you in the nose first, kind of, and once your nose starts acclimating to that, you're starting to get some of that sweetness. But with the rye, I smell that rye spiciness up front first. It's a good nose. I like it, so I'm gonna give that a 6.5. All right, let's go in for the fun part. Flavors. Very different on the tongue than their normal rye. It is more, there's a lot more spice up front, and then you get that sweetness in the middle. You get some of that cinnamon, clove, and then the sweetness kind of it tastes like, what would be a good sweetness for this? It's not quite like, it's not butterscotchy. It's more, more honey buttery, like more of a honey butter. There's some orange zest to this that you can taste. A little bit of a hint of chocolate, like chocolate powder in the background. And a lot of times as you take more sips, that stuff's gonna come more forward. So for that initial flavor and initial taste, I'm gonna give that a 6.5 as well. Next is complexity. How does it evolve on the tongue? We're gonna try to look and see if we can pull out more of those flavors and how it's changing, how it's evolving. That we're down the wrong pipe for sure. Look at my eyes. I'm gonna pause and come back. I need to get some water. All right, I had to pause there for a second. When I took that sip, all of it went down the wrong pipe. Made me choke, made my eyes water. I'm still recovering from that. But I had to get a little bit of water down. So I did take a tiny sip to kind of reacclimate my palate, but let's go in for that complexity sip again. Let's go in for that. Now, that one, I'm getting more of those still Austin notes that you're used to with their rye. That spicy rye that comes up front, you know, you get those normal rye spices, the clove and the cinnamon and all that. But now you're starting to get more of the honey butter flavors, that honey butter kind of comes through the middle. Then you're also getting some of the like the cocoa powder, a little bit of other sweetness. And it's not, I want to say it's more cocoa than caramel, but it's a little bit in between that. Maybe it's very interesting because and then there's that orange again. Like that orange just kind of just lingers in the background there. And I like the way that kind of lingers. It's kind of one of those weird things that's kind of in between those two, as I was saying, a cocoa and a butterscotch, but more towards that cocoa side. So that's interesting. That's kind of a different one, but you're getting a lot of that, like the flavors that you normally get from Still Austin. So I like the complexity. I like how it changes. I like how it does all that stuff. And I like how that I like that orange in the background. And for some reason, that orange is just sitting there, sitting on my tongue. Now, a lot of ryes you get like a mint or eucalyptic. For some reason, I don't pull that from ryes. I don't know if it's something my tongue doesn't pick up very well and all that. But I remember theirs was their thing. I was kind of looking forward to tasting that, and I don't taste that. That doesn't come forward on my palate. So, but for complexity, I'm gonna give that. I like the complexity. I really like the way this changes. I'm gonna give that a 7.5. 7.5. So mouthfeel, thickness, and viscosity. How does it handle on that tongue? The feel in the mouth, it's okay. The viscosity though, there's some viscosity there. So mouthfeel kind of goes through. I feel it go from the front to the back. It kind of leaves the front, stays in the mid palate. Have a little bit in the back, a little bit of, nice little Texas hug going on here. So I do feel that. Now, as a viscosity on that mid palate where it's staying there. Like I still have it there. It still feels like there's some on my tongue. So that part is good. But overall, the mouthfeel going to that viscosity, the mouthfeel is just kind of just, it feels like it's washing right through and then sticking right in the middle, but the front and the back is kind of gone already. So for the mouthfeel, I'm actually going to give that a 6. All right, let's go for that finish. How does it finish? I do like the way that it kind of, just as I said, the sweetness that goes in there, that I like that cocoa flavor. The spices are up there. I mean, they're still there from the first drink to now. They're still there. They're not as spicy as they were on that first drink I took, but I still taste them. I like the way it covers the mid tongue, but the front is very lacking. It kind of dries that. It kind of dries the back. There's some tannin, so that's that spicy yolky tannin. And in Texas, you kind of get that early on. Even though this is only 4 years, you'll get that early on. I do like that hint of like orange in the middle, and the way it's mixing with that kind of sweetness, it kind of reminds me of, and I saw that this is something that was from their notes, that they said something about a creamsicle, right? And I didn't know what they meant by that, but I get it now. It's like an orange creamsicle where you get that orange flavor on the outside, but that kind of, not quite vanilla, but the vanilla inside ice cream. And so that's what that combination does. And that's what kind of just hints right there. It's not something that stands out a lot, but it's something that hints. And I do like that. But the finish on the tip of the tongue, the finish on the back of the tongue goes away. Nothing on the roof of my mouth. It just stays right in the middle. And for that reason, I'm actually going to give it a 6.5. Would I buy this again? It's $100. I think the regular one is 60 something. And if you get the cash drink, I think that's 80. For something different and for being so, unique and, a one-time thing, I actually think it's worth $100. $100 at max. Now, I know these sold out, and I don't know luckily, Still Austin doesn't have a major secondary. Like, it's not super marked up on secondary, except for the Tanninger. I've noticed that one's pretty marked up. If you can find this at $100, I would say buy it. I think it's interesting. I'm probably going to end up doing this and doing a pour with this, the regular rye, and maybe their cask strength rye, and see the differences, to taste those differences, because it's always fun to do that. Actually, I think they did a video where they did the multiple ryes all together, and that was a fun video. If they do, I'll leave a link to it below. But I would buy again, so I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna give that a 7. Wow, that was a journey. That choke, when I choked on it, I still feel it in the back of my throat right now. So it happens even to the best of us, but it's okay. It's part of the journey sometimes, part of that journey. Now, my total for this was 40 out of 60. I think that's a pretty solid score for this. At $100, I think they hit it, like that's the right price for it. If they would have done 120 or more, I probably would have said it's not a buy. So I do like it. I like the fact that he's doing something different. I like that the master distiller is doing things that are just different, trying different things, and then putting them out there to share with us. And I like that. I know they have like the rare series that's coming out, and they're going to be on number 3 coming out pretty soon. And I like that series as well. As a rye, I like that he tried to do more traditional rye. I like their regular rye. I like their I like their cast strength regular rye. But this one's different, and I'm definitely gonna go compare it to those other ones, kind of do a blind with it, and that'll be kind of fun. But I do enjoy it. So let's talk about how can you win a sample. Please hit that like button and subscribe. Also, share this video. That really just helps me out, so I appreciate it if you do share. In the comments below, talk about your experience with Texas whiskey, especially Still Austin if you've tried it. And we need a hashtag, so add hashtag Still Austin. Thank you, my friend, for joining me on another journey down my Texas whiskey rabbit hole. To our next journey, my friends. Cheers.